today on Rappler. Former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte loses his appeal for temporary freedom and will remain jailed in The Hague. Dismissed Bulacan 1st District Engineer Henry Alcantara surrenders over 110 million pesos to the government. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. orders authorities to secure the air assets of former lawmaker Zaldy Co. U.S. President Donald Trump says his administration will work to permanently pause migration from all third world countries. And the death toll in Hong Kong's worst fire in nearly 80 years rises to at least 128. Former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte will remain detained at the International Criminal Court prison in The Hague, Netherlands. The court's appeals chamber denies his appeal for interim release Friday, November 28. It upholds entirely the decision of the pre-trial chamber, saying Duterte's defense team failed to point out errors in the earlier decision. Judge Luz del Carmen Ibanez Carranza, a Peruvian jurist who heads the 5-person chamber, reads out the decision.
In the present case, having rejected the 3 grounds of appeal presented by the defense in the appeal brief, the appeals chambers unanimously confirms the appeal decision.
Carranza previously also ruled against Duterte in June 2023 when the chamber allowed the continuation of the investigation. The appeals chamber's decision is final since there is no higher court in the ICC beyond it. Duterte is facing 3 counts of crimes against humanity of murder. These cover 49 incidents of killings involving 78 victims of the war on drugs and the Davao Death Squad. Duterte did not appear at his hearing, waiving his right to be there. Dismissed Bulacan 1st District Engineer Henry Alcantara returns over 110 million pesos to the government on Friday, November 28. Justice Secretary Frederick Vida says Alcantara has promised to return a total of 300 million pesos to the government. Alcantara will surrender the money in tranches because he is currently detained in the Senate for contempt. Meanwhile, former Public Works Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo has pledged to return 7 million pesos. The amounts being surrendered were earned from kickbacks tied to the broader corruption of the national government budget. A Senate probe revealed that Alcantara and other dismissed DPWH engineers in Bulacan laundered millions of pesos in casinos using aliases. Alcantara's former colleague Bryce Hernandez previously handed over 2 of his luxury vehicles to the Independent Commission for Infrastructure. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. orders the Transportation Department and the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines to secure former lawmaker Zaldy Co's air assets believed to be in Malaysia and Singapore.
You cannot steal from Filipino people and expect to hide or fly away on your private jets. You have the money to run, but you cannot outrun the Republic of the Philippines.
Marcos says this Friday, November 28, with the latest presidential update on government actions in relation to the flood control corruption scandal. He also notes, since the Anti-Money Laundering Council already issued a freeze order on COS assets, all movements and disposition of the aircraft are prohibited.
Kaya kayo mga pugante, umuwi na kayo. Ang payo ko sa inyo, hindi na kayo turista. Pinahabol na kayo ng batas.
Marcos said last week the Anti-Graft Court Sandigan Bayan had issued an arrest warrant against Co and 17 others from DPWH Mimaropa and SunWest Corporation. U.S. President Donald Trump says his administration will work to permanently pause migration from all third world countries. He says this is to allow the U.S. system to fully recover. Trump did not identify any countries by name or explain what he meant by third world countries or permanently pause. Posting on his social media platform Truth Social, Trump adds he plans to terminate all of the millions of what he calls illegal admissions approved under former President Joe Biden. He also plans to end all federal benefits and subsidies for non-citizens and denaturalize migrants who he says undermine domestic tranquility. Trump's comments come after the death of a National Guard member who was shot near the White House on Wednesday, November 26. Investigators say the shooting was carried out by an Afghan national. The alleged gunman was granted asylum this year under Trump. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services on Wednesday stopped processing all immigration requests relating to Afghan nationals indefinitely. Hong Kong's deadliest fire in nearly 80 years tears through a massive apartment complex on Wednesday, November 26, killing at least 128. 200 people are still missing. The 8-tower estate, housing more than 4,600 people, had been undergoing renovations and was wrapped in bamboo scaffolding when the fire broke out. Soon after dawn on Friday, November 28, Hong Kong fire authorities said they had mostly contained the blaze. Police say they had already arrested 3 construction company officials on suspicion of manslaughter following the incident. This for allegedly using unsafe materials, including flammable foam boards that were blocking windows. Hong Kong's chief executive, John Lee, said the government would set up a 300 million Hong Kong dollar fund to help residents affected by the incident. And that's today's wrap. I'm JC Gotinga. Thank you for watching. Click the link below for the full story. For more updates, download the wRap app.